Yeah, so I'm chopping it. The really thin slices.
Do you do that for braising too, or do you do it larger?
I would do it a little bit larger. I would quarter this for braising. But I like meaty vegetables, it depends what you like. I would do a quarter of an inch. Yeah, not soaking, just enough so that, the theory is that this is why you need a hot oven. It's actually it's not that it's cooking in the broth itself, it's that the steam from the broth is the braise of it. So for the white bean salad, you could, again, I took the cheap way out here. You can, I use, white cannella beans here, or any type of white bean is good. If you've got enough time, make your own. You can throw beans in the day before, cook them for a couple of hours. Yeah. And if you're into pressure cooking, it's a great way to do it. Frankly, it's one thing that I've never done, but you can use a pressure cooker, you can use an overnight cooker, or you can get a can. But if you're making a lot, it makes sense to get your own bag and to do it, and it's an economical way to eat. And then, you've got the Trinity here. Where's our... Matthew, can you grab me the virgin olive oil? So for beans here, I've marinated these beans overnight. Yeah. Yeah, I would rinse the beans. And that's actually one reason why I don't like to use canned beans, is that you control your own. So, anything that's canned or processed has got a ton of salt in it. So that my recommendation, again, usually, is if you use a can, don't salt it, or make your own and then add your own. That's what I'm doing now. So you've got the Trinity is marinated in, do you have the virgin one? I would marinate this in half a cup of virgin olive oil, half a cup of lemon juice.
Can you explain the difference between virgin and other olive oil?
Sure. Virgin olive oil is cold pressed. There is no processing. So you take an olive and you squeeze it like a stump, and the oil that you get out of that is virgin. And it's the first squeeze is the highest quality and the purest. There is sometimes a second squeeze, and this is probably second squeeze that I've got here, where there's a little bit more brute force, but it's still the first press of the olive. Regular olive oil, which is fine for frying, but I wouldn't put it on my salad or use it as a salad dressing, is industrial process, usually from the leftover of the first squeeze. So it's skins and the pits that are processed industrially where further juice is pulled out of it. It's not as sweet. Sometimes it's more acidic. Again, it's fine for using if you're frying, but not if you want to get full flavor out of it. The other issue lately, particularly with this kind of olive oil, is that there are a lot of fakes on the market. that sometimes it's being mixed now with canola oil and other types of oil. The way you can tell whether it's a good olive oil or a fake one is you put it in your refrigerator, and if it gets cloudy, it means that that olive oil has been adulterated.
Rich, my understanding was that when you're frying things at high heat, you don't use olive oil.
You can use, you know, if you deep fry, that's true. But anytime sauteing, I would use not the best quality olive oil.
But for something like latkes, I heard
Yeah, no, latkes are much higher heat.
Okay.
A latke, anything that's deep fried chicken, anything like that, I wouldn't. If you're using a wok for an Asian meal and you're deep frying something, you need something which will withstand the heat better. So a peanut oil or a sunflower oil is actually a better kind of oil. So we've done this. We're, the other thing that I would recommend, absolutely, is always use a fresh lemon. I always have a dozen lemons in the house for everything. The stuff that you buy in a jar, So we do that, squeeze a fresh lemon. I love these little lemon peels here. Matthew, why don't you ream that lemon? Yeah, half a cup. Yeah. Again, I wish I had a sink over here, but so we've got white beans, and what we're going to do is we're going to add the sauce to it with. Again, the spice is the spice that you like. I'm particularly fond of thyme, so we use thyme. Lots of people use oregano, some people use mint. What I would recommend actually is what you grow in your garden. There's no reason to go to Giant or Whole Foods and spend $7 for a little bit of thing. In our yard, we grow oregano, basil, thyme, tarragon, mint, marjoram, and rosemary. And you can go out your backyard and clip fresh, clip a fresh herb, and it's totally delicious. Okay, there we go. So we're going to throw in some other fresh herbs. Here, add just a little handful of those herbs and then mix that together, okay? And now the other cool little thing we do is we're going to add pine nuts to it. Anybody cook with pine nuts a little bit? Pine nuts are great, for a pesto, but they also add a really good, again, sort of Sephardic Mid-Eastern. I'll toast these up a little bit, and we'll get the heat on here.
Are you putting oil in there?
No, I just use a hot pan. Again, I would recommend here, so the handy dandy, everybody's got this fancy cookware. I love my cast iron cookware. I got most of this actually at flea markets. Some of it was pretty rusted and we cleaned them up. But I think I've had this pan for 35 years. And I use it for toasting my nuts, just over high heat a little bit. We're going to do that. We're going to add a few more over here. Anybody got any questions?
What's in the dipping sauce for the artichoke?
Sour cream, but you could use creme fraiche or any sort of labneh, Greek yogurt, chives, parsley, 4 anchovies, and a little bit of lemon juice.
Again, okay, vegetarian, you broke the vegetarian piece of it. Anchovies are fundamentally Jewish. Really, anchovy, again, when Jews were forced into the ghetto, what did they eat? They were given food that nobody else would want to eat. So small, bony fish. Leftovers of small, bony fish. So it was spinach stems, and it was, all these crazy kind of fish. So anchovies and salted anchovies became the basis for particularly a lot of sauces, but other things. What else can we say about that? Oh, the other story I've got is about pasta. We're talking about pasta. So this is one type of pasta. It was a quick pasta, but people talk about Marco Polo bringing spaghetti over to Italy. Not true at all. Not true at all. It was actually much more homegrown. But what's interesting is that the first reference to boiled noodles of any recipe was in the 6th century Talmud. And it was in reference to, whether it would be kosher for Passover or not. And there was a question about whether boiled pasta would be. And actually, I had a debate going on. I had a number of rabbis at Talmudic scholars at the University of Wisconsin go into the etymology of this particular recipe, which was written in Aramaic. And if I had my notes here, if everybody's interested, we could talk about the Aramaic etymology of various words and how it developed. But essentially, the word for dough and boiled dough has got deep roots in Aramaic and in the early Hebrew Bible of the 15th century. And it's beyond me to decipher, all the nuances of that. But there's an interesting history there also. Matthew, why don't you just keep on shaking this to make sure that doesn't burn? So Matthew is mixed up. Again, it's basically olive oil, herbs, and lemon juice.
No garlic?
Not garlic in this. Again, this is a raw dish, and raw garlic is hard for some folks. But for me, I would put garlic in anything. So, some fresh parsley. Finish up. No, actually, you're doing that. Just another thing too, don't have time for this, is the other thing that I would recommend for everybody is the only tool that you really need in your kitchen is a sharp knife. I mean, it's right down, I use a Cuisinart a lot, but a good quality knife or a good quality knife set is really key, and so I would recommend that. No, actually, chop this up a little bit more. So to these beans that I've mostly marinated overnight, we're going to add a good quality Parmesan cheese. Again, if we had time, I would shred it, but Trader Joe's has got pre-shredded, not grated, but shredded Parmesan cheese. This is for the white bean salad. Okay, that looks good. That's a really so far, so far the cooking, rice, beans, and all of that are kosher for Passover. Pasta is not, but rice, beans, and grains are so instilled. It's all kosher. It's all considered to be kosher in the Sephardim. Okay. And I think we can do a few more here. Is that too hot, or is that okay? Plenty coming. Yep, dump those in here. And then I've got a few others. I've got a few more over here that are pretty toasted. Okay. Yeah. And then we're going to add, as a final piece, we're going to add the fennel to this. Yeah, turn it off. Okay, so any more questions? And I think it's time, I think it will be time to eat as we finish making this up. We've got plenty of food. Matthew, Liz, and I spent all day yesterday baking. So that, I'm not sure if it's quite lunch, but it's,
On your recipe for the white bean and fennel salad, you have 2 tablespoons lemon juice and 2 tablespoons olive oil, but you're making a larger